Chapter 7 Secrets. Elfie gave his father a look, imploring him to throw this annoying lady out, begging him to throw this annoying lady out now. However, Dad turned to face her, squinting, that means look at something more clearly, squinting a little at the riot of color. Riot of color, that means Winnie's dressing, right? Because she wore a lot of very bright colors and all the colors are clashing, okay? I think that's a very good idea, Winnie. I don't want any more of his teeth falling out before his 30th birthday. Ha ha, no, laughed Winnie. We don't want that. A quick trip to the dentist will sort that boy out. Without asking, she helped herself to her third chocolate biscuit. It was the last one on the plate, even though it had a hint of mold. That means it had a bit of mold on it. Elfie had been eyeing up that biscuit. That means Elfie had always been wanting that biscuit for the last 10 minutes. That was all he was going to eat this evening for his dinner. The woman woofed, that means gobbled it down whole, and took another deafening slurp of her tea. Deafening, that is very loud slurp of her tea. Slurp. She smacked her teeth together again and then let out another sigh. Ah! It was only the second time she had done the slurp routine in front of him, but Elfie couldn't hide how deeply annoying he found it. That broke the uncomfortable silence. Oh, it's so nice to have a visitor, isn't it, Elfie? The boy said nothing. Winnie slurped and again before inquiring, that means before asking, have you got any more of these yummy biscuits? Ha ha! She laughed at the end of her own sentences in that irritating way jolly people often do. Jolly, that means happy people do. Yes, said Dad, we should have another biscuit in the tin, shouldn't we, Elfie? Still, the boy sat in silence, staring at this multicolored munching machine. So, Elfie called Winnie the multicolored munching machine. Well, prompted Dad, go and bring another biscuit for the nice lady. Another chocolate one if you have it, please. Ha ha! Added Winnie brightly. Naughty, I know. Have to watch my figure. That means I can't eat so much. I have to watch my figure. But I do love chossy bissy. Slowly, Elfie stood up and tracked to the kitchen. He knew there was one last chocolate biscuit in the tin, but he had been saving that for their dinner tomorrow night, half each. As he passed the scratched and molted, that means the mirror has lots of spots. Mirror in the hall, Elfie paused for a moment. He needed to pluck the larger fragments of the spit-sodden biscuit that had sprayed out of the social worker's mouth from his hair. So that while Winnie was talking, he had spit biscuit onto Elfie's hair. You must be very proud of him, Mr. Griffith, said Winnie. Elfie could hear them from the hall. It's Griffin. That's what I say, Griffith. Griffin, repeated Dad. Yes, said the woman in an exasperated tone. Griffith, Griffith. Well, yes, of course, I'm very proud of my pup, whizzed Dad. Long sentences sometimes got the better of him. That means sometimes Dad find it very hard to say long sentences because he's very ill now. Your pup? Yes, that's what I call him sometimes. I see. Over the years, he's looked after me so well, his whole life had been looking after me. But Dad's voice lowered to nearly a whisper now. I didn't tell him, but I had a fall last week while he was at school. I didn't want to worry him. Yes, I can understand that. Elfie shifted his weight so he was standing nearer the door. The boy listened intently, that means very carefully, as the grown-up talked. I became short of breath and I just blacked out. That means he blacked out, he collapsed. I fell out of my wheelchair, smacked straight onto the bathroom floor. I was rushed to hospital in an ambulance. The doctors did a load of tests. Oh yes? Winnie sounded very worried now. Well, Dad was struggling to find the words. Take your time, Mr. Griffith. Well, the doctors told me my breathing was getting worse and worse, and fast. Oh no, gasped Winnie. The boy could hear his dad crying. It was heartbreaking. That means very, very sad. Here, Mr. Griffith, have a tissue, said the social worker softly. Alfie took a deep inhalation. Inhalation, that means he breathed in of breath. Hearing his dad cry made him want to cry too, but the proud man was fighting it and sniffing back up the tears. We Griffins are strong, always have been. I worked down that mine for 20 years, as my dad did before me, and his dad before him. But I am a very ill man, and my poor little pup can't cope all on his own. Very sensible of you, Mr. Griffith, replied Winnie. I am glad you finally decided to call the council. I just wished you had sooner. And remember, I am here to help you and your son. Alfie stood frozen to the spot. That means he was shocked. He stood frozen. Dad had a habit of keeping bad news from him. The rising debts, that means the rising debts, the TV and the fridge being repossessed, Dad's worsening health. Alfie felt he was always the last to know. Indeed, despite their closeness, even though Dad and Alfie are very close, there were plenty of chapters in Alfie's life that he kept from his father, so there were a lot of secrets between them. The boy had his secrets too, so Alfie also kept secrets from his dad. That the bigger boys would bully him at school for dressing like a tramp. Tramp is like a beggar. So Alfie will keep the secret of how the bigger boys would bully him at school. The detention Alfie received for not doing his homework when he had been too busy cleaning the bungalow the night before and hadn't had time. When he was caught bunking off by the headmaster. Actually, he had to leave school early to make it to the next town before the shops closed to collect a new wheel for his father's wheelchair. Alfie felt his dad had more than enough things to worry about without worrying about him too. But overhearing the conversation from the living room, try as he might not to, the boy finally had to give in to his tears. So he started crying. He was a griffin too, strong and proud, but his tears had bitten him. Warm, salty drops ran down the boy's face. Despite everything, Alfie had always believed that one day his dad would get better. Now he had to face the truth that the dad will soon one day die. The end.